Auditioned by Barbara Walters, Home by Julie Andrews, and What Happened by former White House Press Secretary Scott McClellan. Besides being some of the hottest books and authors on every bestseller list, they have all got one thing in common. They are all memoirs. Now, have you ever thought about writing your own memoir? Well, our next guest is Abigail Thomas. Her new book is called just that, Thinking About Memoir. Abigail, welcome. It's good to have you on the show. So what exactly is a memoir?
A memoir is the story of your life told through what you remember. I want to just say that we all have a story to tell, and don't be intimidated by Julie Andrews and the big names. We've all had interesting lives. We've all had lives with details, and anybody can do this. It's simpler than you think.
Well, let me ask you this now. For those people out there that think they can't write, is anybody capable of writing a memoir?
Of course, of course. And anybody's capable of writing a memoir. You don't have to think of a memoir as a long book. You can think of a memoir as a letter to your grandchildren. You can think of a memoir as a way of working through some hard time. You can think of a memoir as starting with a sort of diary and notebook and just keeping track of who you are and how you got to be the person that you are now.
Now, tell me this, is there a difference between, let's say, an autobiography versus a memoir?
I think autobiography is more like a very long resume. It's the facts and just the facts, without a whole lot of reflection. But memoir really is thinking about your life, thinking about what these certain things meant to you, and how it has changed since then.
So one could actually say that an autobiography is just more fact, but that memoir is more colorful, more in-depth, more heartfelt, that sort of deal?
Yeah, I think so. I think with memoir, the writer learns something. I think with memoir, you are on a discovery journey yourself. With autobiography, it's all done. It's just paint by numbers, fill in the blanks. But the wonderful thing about memoir when you're writing it is that you find out things you really didn't know you knew. And you have to turn rocks over that you would sort of maybe rather never know what's under it, but you have to. And it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Now, what makes a good memoir?
Oh, gee, detail.
Detail.
Detail, the details. I once received a package by somebody who wanted to write a memoir about having grown up on her mother's farm. And the beginning was stuff about the bird song and the beauty of nature outside her window. But a little later on, she said that when it was winter and very cold, they had no heat. And her mother would put newspapers between the sheets and the blankets for insulation. And I wrote her back and said, I don't want to hear anything about the beauty of the bird song, but I want to know everything about those newspapers and every other, and it's that kind of detail that makes a human life.
So it kind of draws in the reader. I mean, it takes you into their world, and you can kind of get a bird's eye view as to what was going on.
Yeah.
Now tell me this, we actually ask our audience to send in a couple of sentences of their own memoirs, and the response was overwhelming. I think we got over 1,000 responses in that one day.
Yeah.
And I understand that you have a couple of those memoirs here. So
the sentences? Yes, I do.
Absolutely.
I do happen to have a couple of them here. This is from Cindy in High Point, North Carolina. It was the smell, yard dirt, wet dog, bare wood house that brought back childhood memories. Things were so simple in my 6th year, the summer before my mom was murdered. Now, I would read the next sentence of whatever this was going to be. She sets it up with sight. She engages all your senses, wet dog, yard dirt. You can see it, you can smell it, you can feel it. And childhood memories, and you're thinking, ah, yes, childhood memories, and suddenly, before my mom was murdered. So she's got you
hooked.
She's got you.
She's got the hook
and
set.
she surprises the hell out of you with that last sentence.
And what's the next one that you have for us today?
The next one is from Sandy in Devon, Pennsylvania. The sepia photograph is of 2 tiny children, a boy and a girl, each dressed in what appears to be their Easter Sunday finery. She is holding a small bouquet of flowers and is not smiling. He has a half smile on his face and something wrapped in paper in his hand. You gotta know.
There's a lot of clarity there.
You gotta know. It's beautifully written. It's simply written. You want to know who the children in this photograph were. You want to know why she is not smiling. What he's holding in his hand. it's just wonderful writing. I would read the next sentence of this.
Now, when thinking about writing, we're talking about nonfiction, basically.
Yes.
So
we are.
Should a person never consider embellishing a part of their life? I mean, should you always tell the truth in a memoir?
Oh yeah, you should always tell the truth in a memoir. And if you have the feeling that, oh God, my life hasn't been interesting enough, I want to add extra details, put that in the memoir. Say, I have this feeling my life hasn't been interesting enough, and then see where that takes you. We all have memories that are faulty. That's different from throwing stuff in that just never happened. That's called lying, and we don't do that.
But it's very important for a person to sit down one day and really think about doing something like this. And it's been an interesting conversation about memoirs because I really didn't know that much about it myself. We want to thank you so much for sharing all this information for us. And as I always say, it's been a slice of heaven for me.
Okay? Thank you very much.
Well done.